Howdy folks! Today is the second video I'm doing for Randolph High. We're going to do a game day look today. So it's going to be kind of similar to the last look, but the color selection, the color palette is going to be a little bit different. It's going to be a little more bland. It's going to be a little more dramatic, eye-catching, that kind of thing. So I'm going to go ahead and get started, but I wanted to let you know, girls, that today I'm going to do a different face product. When I get around to doing my face, we'll do our eyes first, then our face, cheeks, lips, that order. But this time what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use a stick foundation, and I'm gonna give you a couple of options of stick foundation when I get to that point. I think this may be easier for you guys to work with, quicker, if I'm being honest. And then we'll go from there. The other thing I'm gonna do differently is, I told you about those cheaper, kind of where you could buy a pack of 30 or 40 sponges that are inexpensive wedge sponges. That's what these are. So I'm gonna go ahead and use this one to do my foundation today to show you how it works. I've already wet this, so what I did is I took it off of my big brick of a bunch of them. I completely saturated it in water and squeezed it out a few times, and then I made sure to get it very like squeezed out as much water as I possibly could from it, so it's just a little bit damp. It's about twice the size of the other ones, so it does get bigger in size. Okay, all right, so let's get started. We're gonna be starting out with some eye primer first, and then we'll get going on all the blue stuff that we're gonna be using on our eyes. And again, I'm gonna be giving you alternatives, things to use for different skin tones. You know, if you have darker skin tone, you may need to use a darker eyeshadow to get the same look. Okay, so we'll talk about that. As usual, I have my little paper towel to the side. I have my eye makeup remover and my Q-tips, so if I make an error, I can very easily clean it up. Okay, all right, so we have our blue palette. I'm gonna take the little guy out of here so I can show you guys what we're working with. All right, so we have this blue palette. We're gonna be working, if you have lighter skin tone, you're gonna be working in this area a little more. If you have very deep skin tone, you're gonna be working more in this area, okay? Some of the colors will overlap just because we'll use them for blending and such. But for our look today, we're gonna be focusing a lot of blue on the eyes. It'll really stand out. All right, so the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna grab our eyeshadow brush. This is the crease brush. Yes, we're gonna grab our crease brush, and we're gonna get kind of a more muted tone. We're gonna start with like this third one. So the third one for people with a lighter to mid-tone skin, and then for deeper skin tones, see if that works for you. If that is too dark, or if that is too light for you, go ahead and pop over to the sixth one, okay? So sixth from the left. All right, I'm gonna grab my little mirror here so that I can see what I'm doing. All right, so tap it into your product, get the little bit of excess off, and then we're gonna start working that into the crease, okay? So we'll start on the outside and work our way in. This is gonna be a little bit more dramatic look, but we still wanna start off with making sure we have a nice blend so that things don't look really hokey and crazy. Okay. So I only used a very little bit on my skin tone, and it is showing up and blending out nicely. As you can see, I've got a little bit of a crease going there. If it goes down a little bit, that's okay. We're gonna, when we do our foundation and stuff, we'll fix that. All right, so this third color may work for darker skin tones. You may just need to pick up a little bit more, okay? All right, let's do this other side. Work it on the outside first, and then work your way in. We're gonna do those windshield wiper motions the way that we did before. Okay, make sure we get a nice little blend. And if it's easy for you to kind of like blend from the inside out like this, go ahead and do that. All right, very cool. All right, so we have a similar kind of crease thing going. Now, as I said before, your eyes are gonna fold in differently on each side. They're not exactly the same. So as you can see, it looks like I might have a little higher eyeshadow. I don't, but it looks like I do. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab a tiny bit more. I'm gonna blend that a little bit higher on this side, just to make them look similar. Okay, let's see. Yep, that looks better. Okay. We always want them to look very, very blended. Now, take your paper towel, wipe off that brush, go into a little bit lighter color. So for very deep skin tones, you're gonna grab the second one. For those of us with lighter skin tones, grab the very first one. And let's go ahead and pop that right up here. And what we're doing with that is we're not adding a lot, very little bit, like just tap your brush in there. And we're just gonna use that to blend things out so that we have a nice little pop there. See, very little color on there. So we're using that to blend this out so it's really nice looking, okay? Cool. Now we're gonna grab our flat brush. This one's the C brush. Again, still don't know why they call it the C brush. But this is where we're gonna start working with dark colors. Everybody go ahead and grab the 5th color. That's the darkest blue right here. And you can see I have all my stuff laying out here. All right, so this 5th color. And then if you have lighter skin tone, grab a little less. If you have darker skin tone, grab a little more, okay? So I'm tapping it into the product, tap, 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 and then getting a little bit of excess off. And then I'm gonna use that to start working in the corner of my eye here. If you need to grab a little more, go ahead and grab a little more. And I did. There we go. So we're packing this on by tapping it into the area. Okay. And we're doing about the outer third to half. Somewhere in that range. Because what we're gonna do is we're gonna end up blending it into about half. Okay, so you see how I have that mostly on the outer edge, but it's already looking more dramatic. So let's go ahead and we'll do the other eye, grab product. And if you have a deeper skin tone and that is not dark enough, what you'll do is use that color first, and then you'll take the 3rd from the right, the very darkest matte color, and then you'll just pack that like just right on the very outer edge just to give it a little more intensity. Okie dokie. Let's grab this side. So layering products is actually a good idea. It'll help them blend easier, and it will also keep them from creasing as much. Okay. And try to get it blended as close to your lash line as you possibly can. And the reason we're tapping it in and not swiping it is just to get the most color payoff without getting a ton of fallout underneath the eye. You'll get a lot more color if you just tap it in like that. And that's why it takes a little bit longer. Okay. Now what I would like you to do is grab the brush we started with, the crease brush, and then you're just gonna take that along this top edge here, and you're gonna blend it into what we already had placed before. You don't need to add any more product to it, just blend. And what that'll do is it'll kind of just drag the product over a little bit. Do you see how it's kind of giving me a little bit more of a crease? That's totally okay and what we want. Okay, you're gonna do the same thing on this side, blend it. And if you're like me and you have one eye that folds in a little more, you're gonna blend this up just a little bit more and in. Blend up and in. But you wanna keep it windshield wiper motions. You don't wanna touch this part of your eye at all, okay? And the other thing is be forgiving with yourself, because most people are gonna see you from a distance, so it's totally okay if it's not absolutely perfect. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and take my paper towel, I'm gonna kind of carefully get everything off here. It looks like I'm being really rough. It's just I'm moving quickly. Okay, sounds good. Now let's go ahead and we're gonna take this flat brush. This one is the blending brush, but it's flatter. I'm gonna use that to pack color right here. Now, as I told you before, to get a setting spray, so go ahead and grab whatever setting spray you have and shake it up. So we're gonna do this one just a little bit different. All right, so if you have very dark skin, grab the second color. If you have lighter skin, grab the very last color. Okay, so second color for dark skin, last color for us girls with the lighter skin. Now, I want you to just pack that color on there. See, I put a bunch on there, okay? You wanna get a bunch of color on there, okay? And then you're gonna take your setting spray after you get the color on there and you're just gonna do one little spritz, okay? One little spritz, because that'll just get it a little bit wet. And then you should get, as you tap it onto your eyelid, you should see it look pretty shiny. Good. Now I'm gonna do it one more time. And you're gonna have a lot of powder on your eyeshadow palette. That's okay, don't worry about it right now. Okay. All right. And I'm gonna go one last round, but I'm not going to spray my brush this time. Just gonna tap it right on top. That way, you see that? It's very dramatic looking. I really love that kind of look. Okay, now since you're gonna switch eyes, go ahead and wipe your brush off so you're kind of starting fresh in a way. All right, and we're gonna do what we did before. We're gonna pack a lot of color onto the brush. Let's get plenty on there. Boom, see that? All right, and then we're going to spray, spray, spray just once. There you go, one spray. And then we're gonna tap that onto the lid here. And this is another time when you wanna try and get it as close to your lash line as possible so that everything really pops. Tap, 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 tap. Okay. You'll always find you have like one eye that just works better than the other one. And I actually think this is the eye that's working better. So I'm gonna skip doing that a second time. And I think it's because the brush is already kind of damp. And you just want them to look as even as possible. Okay, now you see how this blend looks a little nicer than this blend? What we'll do to fix that is just grab our crease brush and just tap where those two meet. And then it softens it a little bit. Okie doke. There we go. So this part of our eyes is done. Let's go ahead and we're gonna grab the brush that comes in there. And then what you're gonna do is, for those with the deep skin tone, look at that. Do you see how much mess that caused? With deep skin tones, grab the very last color, the one that we used on our lid. Those of us with very light skin tones, grab the very first color. So light skin tones, grab the leftmost. Dark skin tones, grab the rightmost. And then this is where we're gonna do a little bit of a highlight underneath here. And if you have very deep skin, you do not need a lot at all. I mean, literally just tip tap, just a little tap, just because we don't want it to start looking kind of ashy. If your skin is dark enough that it looks a little bit ashy, then what you wanna do is go ahead and grab your brown palette and just use one of the like lighter colors like this. It doesn't have to be shimmery to be a highlight. I just want to point that out. So if you have very dark skin, you could use this guy, or you could use this guy, and then you just want to make sure it's very well blended. And use the brush from that palette. Okay, little highlight there. All right, so once we're done with the face, we'll go back and we'll add highlights in the inner corners as well, and we'll do the underneath part of the eye. Before we do that, let's do our liner. So we'll start with our infallible 16-hour liner, and that's where we're gonna do our waterline and tightline really quick. So gently pull on your lid just to draw on that little ledge. Okay, see it? It's a big difference. And then you want to look down. There you go. Do the same thing on this side. Look down. Okay. All right. Now we're gonna do our liquid liner. This one I'm not gonna be able to use the camera for. I'm gonna have to use my mirror. It is a little bit more difficult to do. All right, so we're gonna start by just basically lining our eyes. And if you have trouble with this process, you might wanna just think about just tapping the liner onto your eyelid. Because if you do that, you're gonna get a pretty good result. Okay, so just a basic line on your liner, then we're gonna flip it around and we're gonna do our wing. I have a winged liner tutorial as well, but it's just as easy as touch it and drag it in. Practice this, okay? Because it does take some practice. All right, let's do the other eye. I'm gonna basically line my eye, tap and drag. Okay, here we go. So I have my basic liner, and then we're going to just drag that in, creating a little bit of a wing. You don't need to go crazy. And if you're like me, you need to attach. So I like to open my eye really wide and just attach right there. Make sure I do that on this side too. Okie dokie. See, liner done. Mascara is next, which we've done before. I'm gonna go ahead and do that. And you guys, you know how to do that. So I'm gonna do my mascara and I'll be right back. Okay, ladies, I'm back after mascara. I went ahead and did my eyebrows too. I did them in the last video, so if you need to refer back to that to do eyebrows, totally fine, go ahead with it. All right, so this next step is going to be awesome. It is foundation. Okay, I promise I'm not gonna go away. I'm just reaching into our bag that we have with all of our things and getting the powder out. I use the same powder that I did before. I just want to get it ready so that we can save some time. Okay, so the foundation. I told you we were going to use a stick foundation today, so that's going to make things a lot easier. Just find, let's see, we have two options of stick foundation here. The Makeup Revolution, that one, it's the Fast Base Stick Foundation, and then we also have the Conceal and Perfect from Milani. Both are great options, both have a good color range. If you don't feel comfortable using a stick foundation, you can use one that I recommended from before. There's also the Milani Conceal and Perfect Foundation 2-in-1. They have a good color selection. All of these are great options because they're inexpensive and they have good coverage and they're long lasting. You can find them at the drugstore. The reason I like the stick foundations is they're in plastic, so they're not gonna break if you drop your bag or you have it stuffed in somewhere. This is a glass bottle, so keep that in mind. All right, stick foundation is just as easy as draw it on and blend it in. So I'm just drawing it on. And I don't feel like you're gonna need a lot of this. I look like I have work done or something. And then you'll grab your foundation sponge here, and then you're just gonna start blending it in by tapping it, okay? Tap, 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 tap. And I put a lot more in the center of my face because that's an easy way to blend it out so that it doesn't look unblended when you get to the edge of your face. And here's the great thing is, if you need to add more, just add more, but you typically should be able to spread this out pretty far. Okay. And it gets you really pretty decent coverage so that you don't have to worry about carrying a concealer with you also. But like I said, if you need to add more, just add more, okay? All right, so already we're getting a really nice base going. Okay. Tap, tap, tap. And remember, your powder may add a little bit of coverage too, especially if you're using this Photo Ready powder. I am gonna add just a little bit more in a couple of areas. So I want a little bit more coverage right here, a little bit down at the bottom of my chin, and then I'm just gonna add a tiny little bit underneath my eyes. See, I'm just using this part of the sponge here. Okay, let me just blend that. Blend. It blends so quickly too. Okay. The scariest part of this look is really gonna be the red lip, because you gotta be really careful with that and work quickly. Not work quickly, take your time, take your time. So everything else blends really nicely, so we wanna take our time with the red lip. Okay, you see that? Look at that, looks good. Nice coverage too. All right, so you really wanna pay close attention to things like the undertone. You see this one is a little bit yellow for me. That's okay, because from a distance it's not gonna make that big of a deal, but they also don't have a really good pink undertone for me. So take a look, they may have gotten more since the last time I was in there. Okay, so I'm going to open my powder. I basically pick up powder on the brush from the package, and then I use the lid to kind of pack it into my brush, okay? So that's what I do, and then I start with my under eyes and obviously tap, tap, tap. Because we want something with good coverage, and we want it to last. So tap, 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 tap. And then areas where you tend to crease, you wanna make sure you put plenty of powder there. For me, because I'm an old lady, I get creasing in my forehead and around my mouth. Around your mouth is really common for everybody though. So around your nose and mouth is gonna be a good place to make sure you powder. If you have any breakouts, a good thing to do is to be patient. First of all, make sure you wash your makeup off every single night, or don't wear it at all if you don't have to, okay? If you can skip makeup one day, skip makeup. All right, so if you have breakouts, what you wanna do is you wanna like layer, very gently layer this up. So you'll blend it, touch the stick to it again, blend it, add a little bit of powder over it, and then do the process again until you get good coverage, okay? All right, so we are done powdering our face. Now, like I said, we're gonna do, we'll do our inner corner highlight and the underneath of our eye. So go ahead and grab your, the same thing that came in your blue palette, and you're gonna take the color that you used for underneath your eyebrow, and you're gonna use the same color to highlight the inner corner of your eye. Okay, so you're gonna use the foam tip. A lot of people don't like foam tips, but I like them because they're pretty precise. You can get really precise. And it really opens up your eye when you do that. Do you see that? No denying. And for those of you with deeper skin tones, if you use something from the other palette, go ahead and grab that thing from the other palette, okay? All right. Super duper. All right, so contouring, again, we're gonna grab this thing that says cheek brush, but we're gonna use it for, or blush brush, and we're gonna use it for contouring. You wanna grab your brown palette, and you wanna use the same color you used last time. For me, it's gonna be this middle color in the brown palette. If you have a deeper skin tone, you may end up using one of the ones around it, okay? So grab, just tap, tap, tap. You don't want a lot of product. Take some of it off. Work from the outside in, and just give yourself a little contour. Blend, blend, blend. You see that? And when I look at you from the front, I look thin. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, tap, tap, tap. Get the excess off. Work your way from out in. And you want to make sure you blend very well. Okay. I'm going to contour my forehead as well. I like doing that because I find it just, to me, it looks more natural, like how your skin would naturally get a little more tanner on the outside. Okay. And then I also contour around my nose. We're doing a little bit more dramatic than we did last time, so we're gonna go all out. And I'm not adding any contour to this brush. I'm just gonna very lightly go along the side of my nose over here, and then very lightly go along the side of my nose on this side as well. Ta-da! Okay, and if you're like me, just grab a little bit, put it underneath your chin. Okie dokie. Look at that. That looks really nice, doesn't it? No, just kidding. All right, grab your big powder brush. That's what we're gonna use for our blush. And this is gonna be the same as last time. Use whatever one goes with your skin tone. If you're like in between, you can mix two. So just grab some blush on your brush. It shouldn't be very heavy because we can always add more, right? And then we're tapping it on, tap, tap, tap. So we're tapping and then blending. So grab your blush, tap, 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 and blend, tap and blend. Now, if you want to, you can totally use the darkest blush. That's totally up to you. Try it out, play with it. But the thing is, just remember that once you put it on, you can't take it off. So this is something where if you want to play with it at home before getting ready for game day, that's what you're going to want to do. You don't want to experiment on game day. All right, so we have plenty of blush on. And remember what I said before, it's okay to overdo it just a little bit on the blush, because especially if you're far away or you're going to be in pictures, the flash from pictures can make your blush fade and look not quite as okay. Oh my gosh, you know what I forgot to do, guys? Prime my face. Make sure you do this step, okay? So this is before your foundation. You want to put your primer on, and what that'll do is it's going to make things last a little longer and look a little smoother. This is an easy step, but it's not going to look as good unless you use your primer underneath. Remember, you need just a tiny bit. I used it in the last video. Very easy. I don't know why I forgot it, because I'm crazy. But it's okay. The reason it's okay for me to forget it in the video is just because I'm not going to do a performance after this. For you guys, you really do need to make sure you put this on. Okay, so we have those things done. Now we want to do our highlight, right? Like we did last time. So for those of you that have deep skin tones, you can grab the second shadow, your second eyeshadow. It looks really dark, but it's not. You see that? You can use that as your highlight if you have very deep skin tones. If you have lighter skin tones, go ahead and use the very first, one, the one we used to do our inner corner highlight. You see that? That's like way too much. You don't need that much. Tap off the excess and you have a lot less. You see that? A lot less. And then you just want to tap it onto the highest point of your cheekbones and blend it in. There you go. Do the same thing here. Here, look at that. It catches the light really nicely. I kind of really love highlights, so I go crazy with it. All right, that's good. Now, whatever is left over on your brush, just touch it to the tip, the bridge of your nose there, and the upper lip right there. And it just gives you a little something extra. Okay, it looks like, let's see. Oh, you know what? There is one other thing we did not do, and that is the under eye. So grab your very fine brush. This is your small precision brush. You want to grab that with the darkest color that we used, like we did last time. The darkest color that we used. Tap off the excess. You want to blend that right underneath your eye. Be really gentle with this one because this brush is actually really hard, which would be great if you were doing something like precision liner or something like that, so then you can get a lot of detail. Okay. I know this doesn't seem like a really important step, but it just adds a little something extra to your look. All right, you see that? Great. Great, great, great. All right, now we're gonna do lips. We will do the lips, and for the lips, we have this guy. This is crazy, I love it. This is the color Pioneer. So I'm gonna use my mirror for this again, just because it makes it a little bit easier for me, but I'm gonna explain to you how we do it. It's gonna be very similar to last time. I'm gonna start by applying it to the middle of my bottom lip, and then I'm gonna work from the outside in to create the line, okay? So watch very closely. Applicator is great because the tip of it is very fine. Okay, we have our bottom lip done. Oops, sorry guys. That was not perfect, so there we go. All right, so for real, bottom lip done. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna dip back in to do the top. This one is harder because everybody's top lip is a little bit different. I like to start from the middle and then work my way out. Middle. Just be patient with yourself, okay? There is no such thing as perfection. And to get the most red out of this, you're gonna wanna do one layer to get the outline perfect, and then go over it with another layer. Okay. Boom, girls, boom. Okay, as always, we have our look. We look adorable, because yeah, of course we look adorable. Now we're gonna finish up. We're gonna finish up with our setting spray, and then I'll take this down, and then we'll go over a few things, okay? Okay, I used a different setting spray this time. This one has a really harsh mist on it. This is the Hard Candy Matte, so make sure you hold it pretty far away from your face when you do it. And as usual, wear a shirt that's a button-down shirt so that you don't have to worry about getting it on your face whenever you're done with your makeup. All right, so then, you know, you guys will probably have your hair done already. Mine is wet because I showered. You're welcome. Okay, so this is the final look. This is your game day look. We focused on using the blue palette that we got, the L'Oreal palette. We also used the Pioneer matte ink lip, okay? So this actually looks really good. It's dramatic, but it's not unusual. Let's just say game day is done, you're finished, you want to go out with your friends afterward. Just use a little bit, use one of your face off facial wipes. You can take the lipstick off and put something nude on or a regular gloss, and you have a night out look too. So that you can really multitask with this. Having said that, if you've worn these yet, then you know that it's gonna take a little work to get this off, okay? So I hope you enjoyed watching the video. Please post your questions below if you have any. I'm so sorry, girls, that I forgot to put my primer on before my foundation. It's the same process as last time. You just put a little bit of like a pea amount, like, you know, like a green pea, on your fingers, dab it on, and then you tap it into the areas and mostly the center of your face, okay? So I felt bad because I forgot that. Otherwise, everything else is pretty easy. You see we've got like a little bit of a dramatic look with a pop of light in the center. That'll really keep your eyes looking bright and open. That's important, especially when you have a really dramatic lip also. As I said before, let me know if you have any questions. Let me know if you want me to do any more specific videos on things. Like if you do want me to do an eyebrow tutorial, if you have really light or fine eyebrows that don't show up, I'm more than happy to do that. If you want a little more in-depth in how to get a straight line with your lips, go ahead and ask that question too. I'm happy to help you guys out. Otherwise, have a fun season, enjoy yourselves, take your time, make sure you have plenty of time to do your makeup so that you feel your best when you're performing. Thank you, Mrs. Crumpler, for asking me to do this. And if I need to make any other videos for you guys, I'm happy to do it. I hope you have a great time. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe to the channel so that you can stay in the loop for other stuff that's coming out. And then also ring the notification bell so you know when something new comes. I hope you have a great weekend. Bye.